Anne Frank going into hiding. Hitler grew up in Vienna, Austria, where anti-Semitism was very much advocated, which most likely influenced Hitler because that is what his environment consisted of. Anti-Semitism was sparked by religious problems between Christianity and Judaism. However, there were many reasons as to why Hitler had such hatred towards Jews. During World War I, many large industries and companies were controlled by Jewish people. After losing the war, Germany suffered an economic downfall, and Hitler blamed it on the Jews. Hitler had a weird theory that the Jewish wanted to take over the world and destroy the Germans if it was beneficial to them. Along with Hitler, many Nazis believed that the Aryan, also known as German race, were more superior to the inferior Jews that they believed were barely human. With that being said, Hitler believed that he would be doing everyone a favor by wiping out the entire race. There were other reasons as to why he did what he did. Hitler's mother was diagnosed with breast cancer and unfortunately passed away in 1907. When she was first diagnosed, it wasn't curable, but her Jewish physician tried treating her with quasi-experimental medication called iodoform, but it only caused her to experience excruciating pain instead of curing her, so it is said that the Holocaust could have been revenge on the Jewish doctor. The phrase concentration camp refers to a camp where people are held hostage under unbearable conditions. The first camp was established soon after Hitler came to power in January of 1933, and it was known as the Dachau concentration camp. Many German authorities started making more and more camps. However, after December 1934, only the SS agency was allowed to manage these camps, and at this point, only 4 concentration camps were left: Dachau, Sachsenhausen, Buchenwald, and Lichtenberg. The security police had the authority to imprison the Jews, and it was considered either protective detention or a preventative detention. A protective detention was for the people who were considered a political danger after 1933. Preventative detention was for the people who were considered to be habitual and professional criminals. There was one more category known as terror. If you were a part of this group, then you were captured and aggressively punished just to be aware of what would happen to those who disobeyed the Nazi regime. Auschwitz is one of the most known concentration camps. It was surrounded with barbed wire that would not allow the prisoners to escape. The greeting sign at the entrance of the concentration camp did not give a very welcoming mood. The sign says, "Work makes you free." However, how ironic is it that no matter how hard they worked, no matter how rough the conditions were, they were never free.
The inmates were cramped up in their bunks with 5 to 6 prisoners sleeping in each individual bunk. They weren't provided with pillows and they were only given a small blanket, so they used small pans to lay their head on and cover themselves with blankets to make it more comfortable. The workers were put to very harsh labor for 12 hours with little to no food at all, which caused them to be very thin. Those who didn't look suitable were either taken to a gas chamber, injected with deadly toxins, or simply just shot. These particular inmates were labeled as muscle manners because they looked like walking skeletons. With that being said, one family in particular was about to experience this terror. Letters would be sent out to individual homes ordering one or more people to attend the camps, and that is what happened to the Frank family.
This family from Frankfurt, Germany, consisted of the father named Otto Frank, the mother named Edith Frank, and their 2 daughters, Margot Frank and Anne Frank. Their eldest daughter, Margot, was the one who got the letter, July 5th, 1942. The Frank family lived a quite normal life as a happy family. A few days before this incident, Anne Frank received an outstanding report card. In school, she had a reputation of being a very energetic and popular girl who was very intelligent. She also went out for some ice cream at one of the few places Jews were still allowed in, living the life of an average teenage girl. She had just turned 13 2 weeks before and received a gift of a diary and immediately started to write in it. Little did she know that her once diary full of happiness would soon become a diary full of somber and melancholy thoughts. One afternoon, the postman pays the Frank family a visit with a letter for Margot. However, this letter wasn't a surprise for the family because they knew that it would eventually get to them. If Margot did not attend the concentration camp, the entire family would have been imprisoned. To prevent this from happening, the family fled.
Their hiding place was a building behind where Otto Frank worked. Some people at the location went over to the Franks' residence and helped them gather and deliver their belongings. Margot left the house first, with all of her belongings to make it less suspicious, and the rest of the family followed 30 minutes after, wearing as many layers of clothing as possible in a bag filled with their belongings. The family was accompanied by the father's business associate, his wife, and their son, who were also hiding from the Nazi regime. They stayed in the hidden attic that was covered with a large movable bookcase. Mr. Frank's employees risked their lives day by day to bring the entire family food to cook and eat, necessary supplies, and the news from the outside world. The attic was fairly spacious considering attics usually are very cramped. Anne's room was where she was at ease and composed her very significant diary. When Anne wrote this diary, its purpose was for her to simply express herself with a pen and a piece of paper. However, it became one of the most influential documents ever written.
On August 4th, 1944, their secret life was over. After 25 months of hiding, they were captured and immediately sent away to camps. Anne and Margot Frank were at first sent to a holding camp in northern Germany for 8 months until being sent to Auschwitz. They were then transferred from Auschwitz to Bergen-Belsen, where they sadly passed. Anne Frank and her sister, Margot, had tombstones at Bergen-Belsen, even though their bodies were thrown into a massive grave.
After their father was liberated, he returned to the secret attic and received all of Anne Frank's writing in her one and only diary. Mr. Frank published her diary in 1947. Anne Frank and her diary left an important legacy. It has been sold to over 30 million people and translated to 67 languages. Today, her diary can be found in many museums, and the original diary is still in the attic. Anne Frank became an inspiration to many. In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. Anne Frank. Credits to Carla Amato and
Melissa Moreno.